First, let me say thank you so very much for being here today. I know it's very short notice, but what an exciting day for Duck football that you're all going to be a part of today. We have several people who are going to speak to you, and obviously you want to meet the new guy. So without further ado, let me introduce a gentleman who was at every Oregon football game this year. He is a true Duck football fan. He is the president of the University of Oregon, Michael Schill. Pres?
Thank you very much. I am very excited about the announcement that we're going to make today. I am really grateful that our athletic director, Rob Mullen, moved very quickly to maintain stability, and today he's going to announce the appointment of a great new head coach. They don't allow me to actually say the name of the head coach right now as if it's a big surprise, but in any event, this swift action by Rob will ensure that we don't lose any of the terrific momentum that was created over the last year. It takes great leadership to find and recognize great talent. And Rob has shown great leadership over the last year as well as every year while I've been president. He demands excellence from the athletics department, excellence that is apparently irresistible to other athletic programs. Rob has shown great leadership. This week, he's acted decisively, he's acted quickly, he's acted with imagination, and ensured that the great tradition of Duck football will continue its rich legacy. Now, the person that Rob has chosen, whose name you'll hear in one moment, is someone I spoke with last night, and we had a conversation. And I said to him during that conversation, I do like winning, okay, there's no doubt about that. But what's more important to me than winning is the recognition that the men on the field are our students and that we care about them, we care about their lives, we care about how they live their lives, and we care about their education while they're here at the University of Oregon. And our new coach understood that. He expressed agreement with that, and I believe he is someone who will be a truly wonderful coach with all of the right values. And with that, I want to ask Rob to come up to the mic and introduce our new head football coach.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, and thanks everybody for coming on such short notice. Today, I'm proud to stand here with a new era of optimism, excitement, passion, and direction for Oregon football. A few hours ago, I had the chance to meet with the football team and introduce them to their new head coach, already a familiar face, of course. Over the past few days, with members of my senior staff, I had the opportunity to sit down with some phenomenal coaches who all could lead our program to meet the lofty expectations that we've set. Yet something separated Mario from the group. His commitment to the full student-athlete experience, his fierce desire to compete, his passion for recruiting, his love for Eugene and this university, his stellar reputation with his football mentors, and his vision for what comes next. It is true that many of our team members supported his hiring, but that would be an easy excuse to hire Mario. I would not be doing my job, acting in the best interests of this university and our football team if I hired a new coach based on emotion or familiarity. And that is exactly why I'm confident this decision, that's exactly why I'm confident of this decision, because it's so much more than that. Mario came to Eugene as a champion. He won 2 national titles as a player at the University of Miami. He won a national title and competed for a second as an assistant coach at the University of Alabama. He took an unheralded program at FIU and led them to a conference title as a head coach. The National Recruiter of the Year in 2015, Mario's penchant and passion for connecting with young men and their families has been on full display here in Eugene for the last 12 months. His love for his students, his passion for football, his immediate connection to our university, his experience as a winner, his ability to manage a program as the top executive, his commitment to academics, compliance, and the student-athlete experience, his wonderful wife, Jessica, and their 2 sons, Mario and Rocco, his belief that we can win Pac-12 and national titles, his infectious enthusiasm, his desire to go beyond excellence. That is why Mario is our new head coach. I want to thank President Schill, Chairman of the Board of Trustees Chuck Lillis, and the Board of Trustees for their invaluable support for our efforts over the past week. It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce the new head football coach at the University of Oregon, Mario Cristobal.
Good evening. Where do you start? Tremendous amount of thank you goes out to the entire Duck family. I am beyond humbled and honored to be here today as the head football coach of the University of Oregon. I know this. I think everyone that knows me will also know this. You'll receive every ounce of effort, sweat, whatever it takes to make sure that our student athletes have the best, the finest experience from an academic standpoint and a football standpoint. But before I get into that, there are so many people to thank, and that's probably always the hardest part of trying to put this piece of paper together, right? Make sure you don't miss anybody because, right, you get one chance to do so. So I want to make sure, I want to thank the following: President Schill for, again, everyone involved in this process that have been so gracious with me. Rob Mullins for having the trust to allow me to help guide and lead this program. Chuck Lillis, and of course Pat Kilkenny, Rob Miletus, and of course Phil and Penny Knight, who again have always been incredible with us here at the University of Oregon. And you know, oftentimes in these situations, in these press conferences, the players get lost in the shuffle. And I'm a big fan of always making sure that the staff and the players are at the forefront of everything, especially when you show gratitude. And I can't thank them enough. And besides the fact and the support that they showed, the energy and the enthusiasm that they brought to the table during this time, it's humbling beyond words, because it validates one thing, that no matter where you are from, no matter where you end up, as long as you're honest, as long as you genuinely work with the intent to always have the betterment of your student athletes at the forefront, the reward is always the best reward possible, is that they have an awesome experience. So gaining their support and trust, to me, is the ultimate compliment, and I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And to me, again, I can't, a couple guys are up there. I see them, typically the linemen, they take up about 4 or 5 spaces, you know, with those shoulders right there. But thank you. Thank you for your trust, man. It was awesome. And I want to thank my family also, my best friend, my companion, my dream girl, all right, my wife, Jessica, who, you know, with these football wives, it's kind of funny. I always say, hey, you know, we could have had a bigger family, right? You know, we could have gone 4, 5, 6 kids. And she's like, yeah, easy for you to say. I'm a single mom during the season, you know. So incredible what she and all the wives of all the staff members, what they do. And my 2 dudes right there, Mario Mateo Jr., Mario Jr., what's up, buddy? You good? You all right? Okay. And Rocco, what's up, Rocco? All right. The enthusiasm will show later. You'll see it pop out at Autzen. But Jessica looks forward to really being involved heavily in the community, and she already has done a number of different things, and that's important to us. You know, our faith is important to us, and so is being able to contribute and give back to the community. All right, so I'm on my way out to Oregon last year, about a year ago, right? I hear all these wonderful things, and certainly the reputation speaks for itself. Years and years of great football and tradition and facilities, a beautiful part of the country, and heard about it, you know, believed it, was ready for it, checked it out, and I expected incredible things, and after being here a year, I can honestly say it's blown away my expectations, completely blown away my expectations, and from every standpoint, because, and I'll get into it a little bit, I mean, for starters, since we are talking a little bit about football and the student athlete, the great football tradition and the great coaches that have come before, you know, Coach Brooks, Coach Bellotti, I don't think that the entire country understands the standard that has been set. And now we carry the weight of that, and our players understand that. We are borrowing these jerseys. It's our job to elevate the standard, to create that legacy, and to uphold the legacy, more so to speak. You look at the, you know, Marcus Mariota and the Heisman Trophy that he brought home, and probably the most, I would say, most prolific award winner in the history of college football with everything he did and the standards that he set as well. The Mariota Center and the rest of the facilities that we have here at Oregon on a national scale unmatched. The game day experience at Autzen Stadium, because I've been in some good ones. I played in the Orange Bowl now. Don't think I'm that old, all right? The Orange Bowl was actually a really good stadium where incredible football was played. And I know Rob can attest to the days down there. I mean, it was deafening, incredibly loud. It was just an atmosphere that no one wanted to play in. And being here, you know, for the season and watching Autzen light up and go crazy and bring an energy, whether they be swag surfing, air guitar, and whatever they did to create a tremendous advantage for our football team. I need to ask our fans, our family right now, you got to bring it. It's critical to us. It's deep for us. It hits right here, home. And when we come out of that tunnel and we see that, we're a different ball club. So we need that. So I want to make sure I got that out. That's one of my demands, okay, while I'm here. But what I don't want to get lost in all this stuff, you know, I've talked about facilities. I've talked about the stadium. I've talked about experience and all that. I can't emphasize enough of how important it has been and how incredibly grateful my family and I are because of the way we were treated and the hospitality that we've had since we've been here. You know, some of you know my parents, you know, they're from Cuba, okay? I guess the best way to explain it, and talking to my mom when I first came out to Oregon, you know, she's a little Cuban lady. She says, "Oh, Mario, where are you going?" You know, all this kind of stuff. And I say, "Okay, Mama, it's like this." And I kind of showed her a map. I said, "You're in Miami, so you're down here, and I'm going to Oregon, and we're up here." And she says, "I know, so far, you know." But I tell you, they made it very clear early that they wanted to teach me the fundamentals and the principles and the values to one day be the best father I possibly could be. And one of those things was to learn how to work and outwork all those around you. And not a day goes by where I'm not thankful for that. You know, there's a lot to talk about. I think it's important to mention that as a football coach, I think the word coach is often thrown around without understanding the value of it. When you're a coach, you're a teacher. You're a mentor, okay? You're a father figure. And when you're a coach, it's real simple. If you want to be successful, have a simple philosophy. Do it every single day as if you're coaching your own son. And that doesn't mean that it's easier and softer and kinder, more gentle. It means that every single thing you do is for the betterment, to maximize the potential of every single student athlete in the program. And that's important to us. One day, these young men, they're going to leave here. We're the final stop before real life. We are that final stop. After this, it's on, right? You know, that little card you guys kind of slash where you get your free milkshake and you got your dormitory you get in for free. Well, next year, that's a credit card. And you get that bill from Smoothie King, and, you know, you get your mortgage sent to you. Your payments have to be made on time. So right now, while we have them, it's our job to make sure that we make these young men the best future fathers, best future husbands, best future leaders that they could possibly be. And you can't fake that. And I want to make sure that that is known. You know, the staff that we have, the players that we have, the important part to us is that we're always operating on a foundation of trust, okay? Because when you have that, then you cannot be broken. And we have an incredible amount of momentum going right now. We want to make it stronger. We want to make it better. We want to build upon it. There is no rest. As you know, in this particular industry, if you rest, you're going to be left behind. And even it's for a day. So the people in this building, the guys that we recruit, what we foster is a DNA of being a relentless worker, doing the right things all the time, not some of the time, understanding that you are what you are 24/7. Okay, you can't be a champion during practice and on a game day and then slack off in the classroom. When you're a champion 24/7, and it carries over, and that's going to be a tremendous point of emphasis. Our goal is to make sure they always walk across that stage in that lovely cap and gown, and to make sure that their parents have them or watch them, you know, attain at least one, Steve, maybe two, right, diplomas. You want to increase the number of master's shots, right? We got to make sure we get that done. You know, when I see you out here, I just think of how many people that we haven't thanked, and you're one of them. You know, and Hawk, and I could keep going on, man. And you know, and don't penalize me if I forgot somebody now. I'll make sure to thank you at some point in time. But I want to bring that up because it's important. But we want to build a program, continue to build upon the program the right way. Over the course of the past year, we've created a lot of momentum. And there's so much more there to be had. And the foot is on the gas the whole way, no brakes. We've got to go. There's a lot of things to do. You know, on Tuesday, the guys were down. And we had come in here and went to address them, and you saw those faces. They were like, the uncertainty was pretty overwhelming. And I was blown away when I come in. They gave me a little bit of an ovation. And I'm like, hey, man, you know, I appreciate it. It hits home. But I want you to know something. I'm not going to, how do I say this? I want to make sure that I'm not kissing your shoulder. You know what I mean? I'm not here to make sure that I attain your favor for the next 10 days in order to, you know, make this thing, hey, coach is cool or whatnot. We have a responsibility. We're guaranteed 10 days. In these 10 days, we're going to have an agreement. We're all going to go to class. We're going to take care of our responsibilities. We're going to get the best grades we possibly can get. And we're going to play the best brand of football by doing what? We're going to set the identity. We're going to solidify it in the bowl game, okay, as a university, as a program of what is to come, by being relentless, by being physical, by being explosive. We're going to add on top of that, and we're going to send a message across the entire country as to what Oregon football is to be going forward and only getting better. And we were going to make sure that we're also going to send out the seniors the right way so that they continue to build upon their legacy and that we have a little bit of fun along the way. But make no mistake about it, when talking about the program and the brand of football we want to play, we do want to be that program. You guys kind of have an idea of where I've been, you know, before and some of the staples of those programs. So that's part of the DNA that I've been kind of raised to believe in, to be that type of program that other programs don't want to play. That's physical at the line of scrimmage, a tremendous amount of investment in the offensive, defensive lines, a tremendous investment in being an explosive football team, creating explosive plays, being exciting, making sure that our fans love to come out and support it because it's a brand of football they love to see and support, to help us gain advantages against our opponents, to be a relentless defense that forces turnovers, is disruptive, and to have a special teams unit that creates opportunities and changes the game on a play-by-play basis. But we want to do it the right way. Nothing's going to be compromised. You can have great football and you can have great academics. Our institution is second to none in terms of academics. Our academic center and the people there are incredible. I mean, it's like I walk in there, I feel smarter right away. I mean, you walk in, you increase your IQ by 26 points. But that's a tribute to them. But I can't emphasize enough the excitement that runs within not only myself but the locker room, and the fact that it's real. You know, I was thinking about so many different things that I wanted to say out here today, and I always tell the guys, they know I always walk into a place with a piece of paper and I start to kind of read it, but then I never see that again. I wonder why I did it. Usually takes up a couple hours. The best thing I could communicate is that, like, my heart and soul is in this one, and I don't know if anyone expects to fall in love with the place as quickly as Jessica and I did, but it's been incredible. So it is our duty, our obligation, and really our mission to make sure that we help to continue to elevate the student-athlete experience here at Oregon while they gain their diplomas, while they make tremendous impacts in the community, while we play for championships on a consistent basis, and be that team that we talked about. I know it's a lot of stuff, but you know how it is with coaches, right? Once you get talking, man, it's hard to stop. So if we're good with that, we'll open up to questions. Yes, sir.
Here in the middle, Coach, let's wait for a microphone to get
Okay.
We'll also take questions for Rob Mullins, too.
Coach, is this working? Okay. Coach, obviously, you know, you have some transition going on with your staff, too. What are your intentions with regards to your assistants and your coordinators?
Absolutely. Good question. You know, we've had tremendous progress this year, and the staff and the players are the most important part of this equation. So we are working, and we'll work through the bowl game to make sure we do everything possible to retain as many staff members as we possibly can.
On the left here, Preston.
Coach, when Willie left, almost instantaneously players were taking to Twitter. You had a hashtag about you that they wanted you to be their head coach. Was there something that you did? Did you run through a wall in front of all them, or why do you think they wanted you so much?
What I do, where's Jake, Terrell, those guys are up there. Man, you know what? You know what we did? We had fun this year and we got better. This is what players don't understand. This is oftentimes lost in coaching. If you're doing it as hard and as good as you can, and you invest your heart in it, you learn as much from your players as they learn from you. You know, I've coached football now for 20 years, okay? Hard, God, I don't know if I've ever had this much fun. And at the same time, just, man, these guys are special. They're special, and you need to be here in the building. You need to be around the locker room. You need to be around these guys. We owe them our best, and they got our best. So all I could say is I was blown away, man. I was blown away. I was humbled beyond what anyone can explain. It's just so I'm not great at Twitter. You know, I'm getting better. You know, I'm getting good with those fancy pictures and whatnot. But I can't do. I mean, these guys create avatars and all this other stuff. Incredible. I mean, I got fingers like sausage links. I can't get them on those little buttons, right? So I was, you know, I was blown away, man. I was blown away.
Right here on the left, Ryan.
Mario, can you speak to your experience at Florida International, some of the challenges you had there, and kind of your path after that to try and get another shot at being a head coach?
Oh, it was an easy job. You know, we'll get there, and it was great just taking the job, lots of enthusiasm, and then we kind of went through the trill. We'll just go right down the line. The first meeting was, okay, we just found out, by the way, Coach, you've got a 5-year probation coming up. I go, oh, great, thank you. But besides that, we're good. It's like, no, you got 17 ineligible players, and you're probably going to lose another 24 scholarships. Oh, well. So the good news is coming, right? Well, not quite yet. Not quite yet. We're going to get the contemporaneous APR penalty. Oh, what is that exactly? You're going to lose a scholarship for every guy that's not eligible. Oh, so is that 40 now? What is that number? So, but it was in the 20s of somewhere around there, and you know, we didn't have a facility. We didn't have a locker room. I'll tell you, it was like the perfect way to cut your teeth and learn football or how to manage an entire operation the hard way. I mean, we had to, geez, do you remember those days? I remember we were going to take our buses to the Orange Bowl for a scrimmage, and the buses didn't show up. A bill hadn't been paid. But that's usually, you know, head coach, you don't do that. So I remember emergency staff meeting. Okay, Jeremy, what do you have? Oh, I've got a Suburban Tahoe. Great, 6. You take the specialist. Go now. You go. What do you have? The family truckster. Well, I could fit 10 wide receivers. All right, you're gone. Take them. And we managed to get the guys over there. So another time we sat on the runway and we were about to play an easy team. I think it was Alabama or something like that, you know. So we kept asking the question, what else do we have to deal with here? And we didn't have an academic advisor in place for a couple of years. But the good news was that in our first 4 games, we were going to play Penn State, Alabama, Florida, and Miami. And those are good, easy out-of-conference games when you're 0-12. And you just made the jump to Division I football. So what I'm trying to say, it was probably the greatest training ground that you could ever have, because everyone expected you to fold and everyone expected you to just kind of pack it in and go away. And I totally credit the coaches and the players during that time that had the resiliency, just the most incredible attitude to just say, we're not going to let it bother us. You know, we're not going to let it stop us from attaining our goals, and ended up in a conference championship for the university.
On the right, Jonathan. Mario, you had that experience as a player winning a national championship, and then
Yes, sir.
opportunity at Alabama. What makes you convinced that you can lead Oregon to win its first national championship?
Completely convinced. You know, having been a player on it, when you see it as a player, it gives you an idea, but you don't know the ins and outs. Then you're part of it as a GA. As a GA, I was at the University of Miami when they were coming off of probation, 5 and 6. So, and 3 years later, we're playing for the national title there. What you learn is all the details of not only changing the roster, but also academically the adjustments that you have to make when you're recruiting prospects, making sure that they fit the mold of what the university requires, right? Because whatever you have coming in is going to make the ultimate difference, right, as to what's going to come out. The practice structure, the off-season structure, everything that goes with that. From there, we went to Rutgers, and at Rutgers, I know I'm tailing off a little bit on this answer, but at Rutgers, it was another probationary situation where there was absolutely no energy and enthusiasm. There was no fan base. And through, again, just that was more guerrilla marketing and recruiting, trying to get pockets of people to believe and trust just by outworking and showing goodwill on a daily basis, whether it be at the high schools, whether it be at clinics, conventions, whatever it may be. And then, you know, along with the FIU part, I mean, you're looking at, you know, 3 of the, you know, with the better turnarounds in college football over the last 20 years. So I think the part that really, you know, as you segue in Alabama, is that lesson plan was more of teaching you how to sustain success and understanding every single phase of the program from day 1 to day 365 and the restart button that goes with it, of how to manage, how to elevate, how to adjust to every single thing that comes in the way of making a run at the national championship while attaining unbelievable academic success. A significant amount of, I believe we had 17 guys in the bowl game that already had graduated, you know, and that number climbed to the 21, 22 range. So you want to talk about regimen, structure, recruiting, player development, player acquisition, personnel use, staffing, I should say, football operations. It's a, we talk about all the time, it was like a 4-year process of getting my PhD in football, you know, under Coach Saban. So obviously extremely thankful for that. You should see, I got to show you this library in my office of the how-tos, the what-tos, and, you know, when you're there 4 years, the last 4 years, you've kind of, before the situation pops up, it already rolls off your tongue because you've seen it and done it. So those have all been valuable experiences and helped me to get to this point. And we plan on applying a significant amount of that here at the University of Oregon with the already incredible things that have happened here and the resources that we have.
Right here on the left.
Coach, first, fans want to know, is Jim Levitt going to be back as defensive coordinator? And number 2, there was a lot of angst, obviously, around Willie Taggart leaving among the administration here, the players, fans. Were you maybe the only person who didn't feel the same angst because you thought, hey, this is an opportunity for me, and B, that maybe you could help ease that angst by maintaining some type of continuity if you became the head coach?
Well, to the first answer, Coach Levitt has obviously done a great job this year and is coaching through the bowl game. We're going to do everything possible to retain him. You know, obviously in this business, so many opportunities pop up for guys that, you know, you've got to continue the course and do your best and let it play out. In terms of, you know, when Coach Taggart left, it was hard for all of us because he's a tremendous friend to all of us and has been incredibly just good to everyone in the room. And this is what I told the team. This is probably pretty important to share. These guys will tell you, we're much better right now than we were a year ago today. And instead of getting angry, instead of getting upset and getting all these things where your emotions get all riled up, you've got to look at that as a gift. You know, it came and it went, and now you take it and you run with it, because anything else is wasting time. And I think we realize that. We're thankful for it, and certainly wish him the best. Man, I can't look at it any other way. And I think the more our players realize that and think about it, I think they'll see it that way as well.
On the right, Austin, and then we'll just work our way down.
Mario, you touched on this earlier, but what was it like to be around Nick Saban on a daily basis? Did you come away with any secrets?
I never expected this question to come up, right? You know what? Tremendous professional. That's the best way to describe it. Miss Terry was so good to our family, his wife. They embraced us. Remember, I was from Miami now, born and raised. And you might want to take a snapshot of living off of South Beach and then getting dropped off in Tuscaloosa. Now, that's a little bit of a change. It was an incredible experience and left behind some people that you love and trust and admire. And at the same time, super happy for them and their continued success. But he's Coach Saban. He's a ball coach that's respected and loved by his players, that is a teacher. And he committed to helping me learn and grow as a coach and as a person. And I ate up every second of it. How could you not, right? You get an opportunity like that, you do so. And I did, and I'm forever grateful.
Right next to him, Andrew.
As a two-parter first for Mario and also for Rob. First one to you was, on Tuesday, Rob said that he wants someone with a long-term vision and commitment after obviously, a year ago we sat here with a different introduction.
Yeah.
What did you pitch, because you don't have many ties to the West Coast, about why you thought you would be best to be the long-term guy here? And then to Rob, what about his vision spoke to you?
Okay, yeah, I figured that would be brought up at some point in time or the other, right? Just like Mom said, she's down there and I'm up here at Oregon. I know this. People say football is football, but it's much more than that, all right? I know a couple things that transcend geography in every way, shape, and form, and that's being honest, working hard, and caring. And you could put me down in American Samoa, okay, send me back to Miami, ship me to Australia, and that's not going to change. And that transcends any and all geographical barriers. And when you're in the sport of football and you spend so much time together and you bleed and you sweat, you have these highs and lows, man. You sacrifice like you do. That stuff you cannot fake, okay? That stuff is clear and evident, and that's why we have such a foundation of trust with our players. We fell all in with Oregon after being here just a short amount of time. And we want to be here until you got to drag me away kicking and screaming, you know, at that point. And we made it known, you know, as we talked and talking with Rob, and I'm sure he'll get more into it. But I wanted it to be known. I wanted it to be put in writing, whatever had to be done, so that there is no chatter. So there is no, hey, we've kind of seen something like this, because I get it, and I understand how recruiting works and how people want to use things against you. So I think I'll be really happy with the results.
I think you can see exactly why. You know, obviously, we have the advantage of having him and his family be here for a year. When you sit down and talk about what it meant to be here, and you hear, you know, how much they love the community, how much they've invested in the community, you know, that's a big part of it. And you see how they've made the connections in the community, in the recruiting circles, and then you look at everywhere that he's been, you know, how he's invested in it, and the results that he's produced. It's easy to see he's got a vision and a clear plan, and you know, we're going to put his PhD to work.
Rob, don't go anywhere. Another question for you. I'm sure you were impressed with the support from the players, but what did it mean to have a physical petition given to you from so many other guys?
You know, we were well down the road. And again, these things don't happen in one day at 1 minute. I get the chance to observe the relationships that build over the year. So it was not a surprise to me that there was incredible support for Mario or for this staff. Because I get to see the whole transition. A year ago, they were just meeting these guys, and you can see how quickly they build relationships, how quickly they build trust, and the effort that they and their families put into making this a family. So I wasn't surprised. We were well down the road, and again, you know, that's a great factor. That's not the lead factor, but it is affirmation of what they think of Mario and the staff. But again, I knew that well before we ever started this process, because I get to see it on a daily basis.
Tyson on the right, then we're going to go to Matt over here in the middle.
I don't need you, Rob. Okay, thank you.
Mario, a year ago when we all sat in this room, all the talk was about a rebuild and what it would take to get Oregon back on the right track. And I know you touched on this a little bit already, but
yes, sir.
A year later, after all the work you guys have did, what's kind of your evaluation of where you guys are at right now and how you guys can go forward from there?
Got a strong foundation now. I think especially at the line of scrimmage, I can't emphasize enough, those guys have played with toughness and energy. They've knocked back, you know, our opponents and have set the tone on a game-by-game basis on both sides of the ball. Disruptive on defense, and at the line of scrimmage on offense, it's been, you know, oftentimes dominant, not only controlling the line of scrimmage, but being dominant. And then, you know, obviously everybody always talks about we were much different in terms of productivity, you know, when Justin was playing. But let me tell you, I want to give credit to Braxton. I don't think any one of us that have been freshmen at some point in time in college would like to be thrown out there and try to run around and complete a few passes in front of these Pac-12 crowds. And, you know, that's tough stuff. He's going to be a great football player. But I think the foundation is strong. And I think that's the best part about this is the continuity that this comes with allows our players to have absolutely no anxiety going into the offseason. You know, I thought the seniors made a pretty neat point. They're like, hey, you know, when we come back, we'd like to see some familiar faces, you know. And the younger guys were like, well, as we head into the offseason, we'd like for the coaches to know our name instead of wearing a name tag or a strip of tape that have our name on it. Because all this time we spent building these relationships, it's wiped away. So that's where I think the foundation of the actual football part of it, as well as, you know, the rest, the relationship with our players is pretty strong. And it's right for us to continue elevating, and we have to. The plan is to elevate the standard.
In the middle, Matt.
It's kind of a two-parter. You have a football game in 8 days, but you also have a signing day in 12. what's your timeline for recruiting, and kind of what are the goals you want to get accomplished, and then just what would be your message to the class that's currently committed right now?
Yeah, you'd probably be better off to ask what's your timeline for sleep. You're not going to have any. You got to roll. You have to roll. This new signing period, this is one of the things that comes with all of a sudden our bowl picture, and we're excited as can be to be at the Las Vegas Bowl. But we were there during the originally planned last official visit. So one of the weekends is lost, and that's part of it. You just have to deal with it. The message to recruits is the movement hasn't stopped. It's only going to get stronger. And I know a lot of them, I guess I'm not allowed to speak about recruiting. Compliance is in here. I will abide always. But our efforts in recruiting have been incredible, and they're not going to cease. They're only going to get stronger, right? And this is a three-pronged kind of deal, right? It's talent acquisition, right? Player development, and then personnel use. Well, every single year, you cannot miss on a year by year. You can't have 3 good classes, 1 bad one. You can't have, well, we hit on offensive line, but we didn't get wide receiver. You have to hit on all cylinders every single year, not only to attain greatness and championship levels, but to sustain it. Okay, and everybody's working hard at it. The time frame is short. At the same time, we're on national TV. We're one of the early games. It's an incredible opportunity for our program to set an identity, put it in stone, and send a message that the Ducks are here, and the Ducks are on their way up, and on their way up fast.
In the middle. Coach, you mentioned your parents being from Cuba, and I'm just wondering about the lessons that you've learned from them that you've been able to apply to your players now.
Well, they were just relentless in terms of their approach to work. You can imagine in 1960, 61, arriving in the United States of America, not knowing the language and trying to raise a family, having to work 2 jobs and then going to night school to try to learn the language. So I didn't speak English until I was like 5 or 6 years old, whatever it was. So I could have been a great, one of those backups for Que Pasa USA, that show, incredible show, but they just found a way. I look at these guys over there. I always tell them, man, I never had that football, right? That cool football that you throw in that little hovercraft and all that, the values were incredible. There's just no complaints. A lot of people like to say, well, we had it, I didn't have them around. Well, I had them around, but they were just always working, and they just found a way, and they never, ever gave any kind of reason for not getting it done. And my dad passed in '96. Mom's still down in Miami, an incredible domino player. She will kill everybody in this room at dominoes. You got no shot at beating Clara Cristobal, but it's how you want to be as a parent. It's what you want to be.
You're on the left, Aaron. Coach, will you continue to coach a position, or will you call plays, or will the new offensive coordinator call plays? And then, of course, the most important question: will swag surfing survive this change?
Swag surfing is surviving, and it has to be bigger and stronger. That's the most important question. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Yeah, I will be coaching the offensive line, and Marcus Arroyo will be the full-time play caller. Okay, he's done an excellent job. Love working with him. Whenever you take a co-coordinator job, you want, hey, man, I like this, you like that, come on, man, and it's been fun, even though I'm more of a 70s baby, he's an 80s baby. There's overlap there, Tommy Boy was around, and, he wasn't quite there for Saturday Night Live, but there's some common things we can talk about. But him, I can't mention all these guys enough. Dante Pimpleton, Mike Johnson, the graduate assistants and the analysts, Matt Neuer, Cody Woodle, and David Gilbertson. I'm going to miss one, and they're going to let me have it later. And then the defensive guys, mentioned Coach Levitt earlier, and Joe Salavea. These guys are so impactful. Keith, Hayward, Charles Clark, Raymond Woody, just incredible staff. Kwame, Kikes, all these guys. And a lot of time invested to get this thing going. So, yeah, I can't be a stand-around coach. I would absolutely lose my mind. Can't do it. Well, Arroyo will be, yes. You're good at this question stuff, man. Put you around the spot, Yeah, he is. I'll tell you, he's been an incredible influence on Justin, and I know that Justin was glad, and the rest of the guys were glad to see all these guys, this here today.
Right over here on the right, Jerry, right in the middle. Yeah, about the offense. You know, I've seen a lot of teams that run the spread, but they go behind under center too. And with Justin Herbert, potential pro capability, you think we can see a little more variation there, maybe a little in formations that we haven't been almost exclusive spread for the last 6-7 years?
Yeah, well, you'll as you watch us from the beginning of the year to the end, we're very different at the end. At the beginning of the year, it's a read zone offense. By the end, you've got those large animals up there pinning and pulling and running power, one back power, two back power, outside zone weak and strong, pin and pull to the weak side as well, the screen game. We became much more multiple than we were upon, you know, during the beginning of the season. And when you have a guy like Justin, you got to continue to open up the playbook. This guy's incredibly smart now. I mean, this guy understands protections. Like, you know, we always have that conversation. I say the center's smarter. They say the quarterback's smarter. So it's kind of a race to see who can flip-flop a protection or flip-flop a play to put us in an advantage situation. And we had that luxury with both guys. So you'll see us continue to evolve. You can't stay the same. One of the big things that I'm a believer in and haven't learned at the last place I was at is every offseason, every coach has to go and spend 2 days learning something new and bringing it back to us to gain an advantage. You cannot stay the same in college football and expect to have continued success. The game is changing all the time. We've got access to so many professional teams nearby. We all have friends in the industry that we can go visit. That is a must. And when you come back, you've got to give a full presentation. So it's not like, you know, you're going to go and hang out and eat cotton candy and come back and say, hey, I learned this new play. So we put a lot of emphasis on that because it's also my responsibility as a head coach to develop our position and assistant coaches and do my best to help develop the coordinators as well. And as a head coach, if you're not doing that, I think you're doing a disservice to your staff members.
We got time for one more. Right there on the intro. Do you have a preference between, please talk into the microphone. Thank you.
Do you have a preference between the 4-3 and the 3-4 defense?
Well, to me, it's situational, and we've done it both this year. If you look at us on first and second down, we're very different than we are on third down. If you look at us versus base personnel, I mean, 21 personnel, two backs, tight end, we're much more of an odd front, an odd tight front, but you look at us against some of the spread stuff, we're more of a 4-down front as it relates to the circumstance and situational football. So to say one or the other, I don't think many teams are just honed in on one particular front. What you see is the inside schemes were better defended out of the odd front, the 3-down. But remember, 3-down is a shrunk defensive end with a stand-up linebacker. He's one shade away from being a 4-down. So it's very multiple. You know, it's I think sometimes it's labeled as this or that, but there's a lot of overlap between both. Now, I hope that answers the question, just so that you understand it's, as from where we're coming from, is that you've got to have that multiplicity. Are you? All right. I'm going. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Honor to be here. Go Ducks.
What a benefit to have seen him for a full year, learn the man, his family, and how much his players respect him. I've been here a long time, and I can honestly say I am really excited for the coming season of Oregon football. Thank you again for such short notice for being here. A very special day for us, and I know many of the media would like to talk to some players. We actually have some out in the hall for you, so if you'd like to go out and get some comments from them. Once again, thank you so very much, and always, go Ducks.